Hey, welcome. My name is Aaron, and this is Through the Lens of a Wedding Storyteller podcast. I am so glad that you're here today. It's a little bit different because I get to do this podcast on my own, which I am very excited to do it. I love having people and showcasing some of the most amazing wedding entrepreneurs in the industry today. But I want to talk to you guys about a CRM and what that means and why you should be using it in your business. So let's dive right into it. I've got a link on the description below that's going to get you 20% off Honeybook. Or you can go to education.twoarrowfilms.com/honeybook. Hey, I hope you're doing awesome today. And really, let's just dive right in and talk about what is a CRM and why you should be using it, especially if you're starting out. It is such an important tool. So let's dive into what that looks like. So a CRM. What the heck is a CRM? CRM is really just short for client relational management software. Anything that you're able to manage your emails, communication with clients, and really anything that makes it easier for you to stay connected with your couples, with your clients, whomever that may be. And this doesn't apply on just the wedding industry. You can have CRMs for any industry, really. There could be CRMs for, a church, which is planning center, which I use. Anyways, off topic. You can have a CRM for, I'm sure Target has CRMs, right? Like these companies use ways to communicate with their clients to anything that goes in that happens in the back end is a type of CRM. So first of all, how did we get into using a CRM? And honestly, this was one of those things that I just heard stories about losing contracts or not keeping up with clients or being super last minute on things where communication just didn't happen very well and things went missing or people just didn't show up to weddings. That is my nightmare. I hope that doesn't happen to any of you. And I really hope it doesn't happen to me. I have some wood here, so knock on wood. So what are some things that people have used in the past? And disclaimer, I've never used these in the past for the same reason that I didn't want to get into a situation where our business didn't have the communication or the tools necessary in order to communicate with our clients and do it well. So you might be using Google Docs. It's not a bad thing. Like all of these things are not bad. You might be using Google Docs to send your contracts. You might be using PDF files. You might be using printed sheets that you take to your customers or your clients in order for them to sign. If you're doing that, you definitely need to get on the CRM train today. But any of those forms of communication with couples are a little bit outdated at this point. They still work. If you're doing it, if it works, great. But I think there has to be a little bit of change that comes with your business, with the growth of your business and how you operate all the internal things in order for it to be as efficient as possible for you and for your couples. So, and other ways that we've seen people use, and not necessarily as a CRM, but almost as a means of a CRM, would be payment methods, right? PayPal or Square or Venmo or any of those payment methods are still good, but there's been so many changes with the taxing and stuff of like Venmo and PayPal that I'd much rather just go through a CRM and have them handle everything for me so that I don't get into any kind of trouble. Because honestly, I don't know much about that anyways. Cash App, stuff like that. All of these payments that you're kind of gathering from different locations, it is so much easier to just have them all in the same place. And a CRM is able to do that. We talked about written contracts. And then the biggest thing that I think a lot of people are missing by not having something like this is just the inconsistency in communication with your couples. There's nothing like having a couple message you and telling you, hey, are you going to send me this email that you talked about? Or, hey, what about the questionnaire? Like, what should I expect, right? A couple should never have to do that. Unfortunately, it's happened to us. We've dropped the ball, and that's just the human thing to do when we were starting our business. But having that consistency and communication with your couples is going to go a long way. One of the biggest things that I think of whenever we're doing any of this and planning and preparing and making sure that our communication is right is first impressions make a huge impression, right? So what do I mean by that? The way that you made someone feel for the very first time is going to make a huge impact on the rest of that relationship, whether it's short term, long term, etc. It could change, and it happens. But normally, the very first time that, like, however you make them feel the very first time is how they're going to perceive you to be for a little while, unless you really do a great job of changing that quickly, right? So why, let me back up. What kind of CRMs are out there? And there's a lot. The one that we use is Honeybook. It's been the only one that we've used. I've used other ones as a free trial to see which one works best, but I found just by reading that Honeybook offered some of the best options that we needed in order to, grow our business to where we wanted it to be. So I'm not sure if I want to pronounce these right, but bear with me. Dubsado is one of them. 17 Hats. Honeybook is obviously one. Tave, Light Blue, Studio Ninja, Octoa, and Sprout Studio. These are just some of them. They seem to have similar things that you can do, but Honeybook seems to do a little bit more than most of them. It's very similar to 17 Hats, which on what they offer and pricing as well. So what does Honeybook have that a Google Doc can't get you? Or what does Honeybook offer that Square or Venmo or a way of receiving payments? Like, how does Honeybook work, right? And that is a really good question. When number one, I will say this, is being able to embed a contact sheet on your website it's priceless. Like, why wouldn't you want to have the ease of somebody coming onto your website, filling out a contact sheet, and having it automatically fill in for your contracts, for anything, right? And then being able to do a response email right away. It is automated. I will say that now. Don't get me wrong. Some of this automation is very personal to the way that we do it. We actually, when somebody fills out our contact sheet, we actually have a very personalized message where we actually go in and type in a little bit about them before we send it. So we actually approve the automation before we send it. Anyways, having that contact sheet on your website is priceless. Think about the amount of time that you're going to be saving by having that fill in the gaps instead of you receiving an email and keeping up with it. Like, okay, well, this is the name and this is the wedding date and this is where they're going to get married and this is a little bit about them. And having to go back and copying and paste, that takes time. And time literally is money, right? So having that by itself, it's already priceless. Like, I wouldn't trade that for anything else. I would pay a good amount of money just just for that feature. The way that the workflows are set up in Honeybook allow you to stay up to date with everything. From the inquire to the follow up to the retainer to the booking to the delivery to the editing, you can make your own workflow to what fits best for you and follow that and have things move in that order so that you don't miss anything. I cannot tell you the nightmares that I've had on missing something or not communicating to a client where I should have. There's nothing that goes missing. If anything does go missing at that point, it was my fault for not actually like putting in the work, right? But it makes it so easy to view and everything else. With questionnaires too. Like if you're not using questionnaires, you need to gather as much information as possible on a wedding day. Why? So that you know what's happening. I think if even as a videographer or photographer, like you need to be the place where people can go and say, hey, I cannot find the planner, but do you know when so-and-so is happening? And if you're able to answer that, they're going to think so highly of you at that point. So it is so important to just be able to send questionnaires, whether they're basic questions, small, like as much questions and like information that you can gather for that wedding day. Man, it's going to put you at the top of your game. And it's going to like elevate you from just a photographer or just a videographer, right? Because you're almost taking the part of a planner, which we should do, but that's another podcast. With a CRM, you can send proposals. Like being able to get on the phone and talk to a client and say, hey, this is what we have, this is what we offer. And then turning that around into a proposal right away in the same place, like it's so easy. Oh, I missed this one. With Honeybook, you can actually know when they've read the messages. So if you're worried about like, well, I don't know if they've read my email because it's a Gmail or whatever, you can see if they read it. Now, it's not creepy because like it's actually a really good idea. It allows you to follow up with them without being, as long as you're not like, hey, I know you read my message. That's gonna be super creepy. But if you're able to just see that and wait a day or so and say, hey, listen, just following up, wanted to make sure if you have any questions or anything. This is what Honeybook can do for you. It can actually bring that customer back for whatever reason, or maybe they just genuinely did not see it or clicked on it but didn't read it. You're able to follow up without thinking, man, this person just doesn't want me or they've ghosted me at this point. So, I feel like there's so many things that we can talk about. So I'm going to hit on just like some of the most useful ones for us, and I'll hit on what they have. So time tracking, Honeybook has time tracking where you're able to track the time according to. So if you guys track time for calls, it's able to do that. We don't do that personally because we don't like to do that. We want our clients to feel valued, so our calls come as part of what we do, but that's available. Lead captures, meaning you can figure out where your leads are coming from. This is really good to know, hey, where should I be focusing my attention to grow my business? Is it through Instagram or Facebook or client referrals or, Google, whatever? You can capture these leads and get information that you might not be able to get anywhere else if you were not using something like this, right? Contracts are a huge thing. Legally, I cannot say to put something together and it'll work for you. You've got to see a lawyer within your state and figure out what the contract should look like for your area, as far as like anything that goes, like really anything. I would highly suggest finding a lawyer within your area and writing up a contract together. It's going to be one of the best investments that you make, because it'll keep you covered in case anything, I mean anything, happens Also, get some insurance if you don't have some already. Contracts keep your clients safe and they keep you safe. And you're able to write up these contracts as a template on Honeybook and send them all in one place, right? And I'll talk about how that looks like for the couples when they inquire and how that process actually plays out towards the end. So you can do contracts, you can schedule meetings, which is awesome. There's nothing like getting an email and saying, hey, so-and-so has scheduled a meeting with you on so-and-so. I don't have to do anything. Like, we can just go about our day and they do all the work, literally. And they schedule on their own time according to our schedule. And all of that is part of Honeybook and other CRMs as well. We talked about automations. These are the types of emails that you can send that are pre-built. And then you can personalize a little bit more if you really want to. Like adding a touch of, hey, absolutely love your venue, can't wait to see you get married, and then add your template email, right? It becomes personal, but it's automated, which is awesome. And with that comes templates. You can have templates for just about everything and anything. If you're not doing templates, oh man, you are missing out. Email templates are the best because they allow you to use up as little time as possible on any inquiries or response or anything that has to do with your client experience through a CRM like Honeybook. Also, this is a shameless plug. We are going to be offering our email templates over at education.2arrowfilms.com. Link is going to be in the description of the podcast and the description of the YouTube video as well. And those are coming soon. If you have Honeybook, you already know about the ka-shing sound that you get every time somebody makes a payment. There is nothing like that little sound. Like, I know something super simple, super small, but it adds so much value as a business owner. It's like, yes, I just received money. Like, this is worth it, right? So it's just like a little cherry on the top for actually just having a CRM. It's just fun. But they do have a mobile app. Honeybook, let's see, who else has a mobile app? 17 Hats, Honeybook, Light Blue, Studio Ninja, and that's it. Which we're all on our phones, so why not have a mobile app? There's light bookkeeping on Honeybook with kind of what comes in and stuff like that you can see. There's all the reports of the whole year per month, and you can kind of see where you're at as far as like bookings from. If you're doing this, you can look a couple years back. You can look throughout the whole year and see where you're at on your bookings, like when were your highest bookings, and kind of start analyzing these things for your business to apply and to strategize for the next season of growth for your business. Okay, I felt like I talked a lot, but I think I hit on most of the points on Honeybook and why. I hope by this point you guys can see why it's so important to have a CRM to manage your couples when they book, and not just manage your couples, but I think creating an experience for your couples, letting them know that you actually value their time and value them as people by inquiring with you, right? And just creating a space for them to say, oh, wow, like they've done this before, or they know exactly what they're doing. A CRM allows you to do just that. So let me look at my notes because I've got so many notes about this. It was like so good. So oh, let me back up. So the way that we do when a client comes in, and I'm going to go through the process of how we actually do this. So let's just say if you go to our website, 2arrowfilms.com, you'll actually see on our contact sheet that we have a contact sheet, right? Our couples go in, they fill it out with their name, fiance's name, where they're getting married, et cetera, a little bit about them, wedding date, all of these things. What Honeybook does is when they fill that out and submit, Honeybook grabs that and creates a new project within the portal, which is Honeybook. It creates a new project and it's able to allocate their name into the right places. So say we want to write up a new contract, right? Honeybook automatically draws those names from there, draws the location, draws the address, draws whatever we needed to draw from the initial contact sheet and puts it all there, which is insane, right? It's already saving you time like by doing that. When they come in, another thing is whenever we respond to an email, so when we get that initial inquiry, we say, hey, thank you so much for taking your time to fill that out. We're so excited that you guys are getting married. And Honeybook automatically puts the name right on that first email. And then we're able to come in and we have a template and it says like, hey, personalize it here. Like add a little bit of like value to them by using something about their story. So we grab some of that and some of the story and put it right there on that initial response and say, hey, we're so glad. For example, we can say, hey, love that you guys got engaged, in Alaska 2 years ago or whatever, and then send that over with the rest of the email, of course. That just gives the couple a sense of, they really care for me. They really value me enough to put something that small and like they read that, right? Because if they're writing it on your contact sheet, you might want to read it. From there, we're able to communicate back and forth, schedule a call. Just like I said, you can schedule a call and get on a meeting. And with this meeting, just talk through what it looks like or what their heart is behind their film or their photos on a wedding day so that we can make sure that A, we're a good fit, and B, we can provide the best service to them. Actually, let me reword that. We don't want to do them a disservice by not being the right fit. I hope that makes sense. There are couples that we're just not the right fit, and that's okay. But that's what the calls are for. Anyways, being able to schedule those calls and talk to our couples that way is amazing, right? And they get to feel a little bit about who we are or hear a little bit about who we are. We get to hear about them and kind of feel our vibe, et cetera, et cetera. Get to the heart of why they want to get married, not just because they want to get married, but who are the people, all of that. From there, once we get off the call, we actually tell them, hey, we're going to send you the proposal. If we're a good fit, I think we're an awesome fit. We're going to send you a proposal with the contract and everything else in there. So ENC would usually put a proposal together and it'll have the contract. It'll have an overview of everything that they're getting, all the price, and it'll have a payment option as well. So they can do everything there. They sign the contract and it's an e-sign, which is amazing, right? I don't have time to print it out, go to a meeting, especially if we're like out of state, right? I don't have time to set up that meeting and actually go drive, get together, sign the contract. It's actually a little bit of a hassle on them as well because they have busy lives too. So it makes it super easy to do everything there. Wow, I almost feel like this is a Honeybook training, but I promise you it's not. It's literally, I cannot emphasize the value of a CRM. Whether it's Honeybook or 17 Hats or whatever, use a CRM for your business. It's going to do amazing things for the growth of your business, right? There's nothing like just having everything scattered around and not knowing what to do because things fall through the crack. And I love this quote from James Clear. It says, "You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. I live by that quote, and I've actually got inspired to do so many other things, and I cannot wait to share them. But it's true. If you don't have a system that you're able to catch yourself on, things are going to fall through the cracks. So having Honeybook as part of that tool, as part of that system, is going to help you become a better communicator to your couples. It's going to enhance the client experience for them, and it's going to elevate your brand overall. We're not talking about, are you good enough at shooting weddings or not, or editing? No, the initial feeling that you give your couples is going to be how they perceive you from then on, right? So make sure you can elevate your brand in that aspect, and then move to the next thing, right? So, but I do highly suggest, and I do believe that having a CRM is one of those things that's just going to elevate your brand. It's going to take you to the next level, and it is worth it. Okay. I think that's it. That was everything. Guys, thank you so much for hanging in there with me. I believe that this is going to add so much value to you if you're starting out, or if you're not sure about a CRM, or if you've never heard about it. Like, go use Honeybook. I've got a link on the description below that's going to get you 20% off Honeybook. Or you can go to education.2arrowfilms.com/honeybook, and that'll take you to the same link. Grab that, take advantage of it. It is worth it. I can't, honestly, I think it's $45 a month. Yeah, something like that, but it's worth it. And then 20% off, go grab it. It is going to change your business. And I will say this disclaimer: you have to build your templates. It comes with some pre-built templates that are good, but I highly suggest grabbing some templates and adding them, taking the time to just add some templates. It took us about a week or so to actually have everything filled out how we wanted it: contract templates, emails, the way that we deliver. So that's another one. We actually have an email template on how we deliver our films, our photos. And it's just a time saver. You have to do it. It's going to be amazing. Anyways, that was it for this podcast. Like I said, thank you so much for hanging in there with me. If you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out to me. You can find me on Instagram at aaronguerrero.ttlws. Link in the description below. That's just my Instagram. Other than that, I hope you enjoy this. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and to the YouTube channel. There's going to be a new episode every other Monday for now. And other than that, head over to education.2arrowfilms.com for more resources, and I will see you guys on the next one.